Victims of Caro Market fire disaster accounting losses in the face of economic hardship. Plus, federal government set to ameliorate sufferings of Nigerians. These and more on Panorama today, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Elizabeth Omori. We'll be right back. Traders and residents of Caro in the Amak Area Council of the FCT woke up Friday to the fire tragedy that engulfed the old section of Caro Market last night. Victims of the inferno accounting losses in the face of tight economic hardship. Sarafina Okon gives an update.
Just about 7 p.m. when commercial activity was coming to a close at one of the suburbs, Caro Market. We're told the market is about 50 years old. It is under Amak Municipal Area Council. What we have actually found that this inferno occurred about 7 p.m. and the firefighters have actually tried their best to curtail the inferno.
The way and manner they assess, they allocate these spaces is something that, of course, if situation like this happens, you should expect what is happening. Even when the security were here, even when the firefighters are here, they could not have access to the road in order to quench the fire. That was why the fire keep on spreading until billions, and we don't have water in the market. That was one of the reasons that everything continued spreading until properties were destroyed.
But the fire service, they even come very small water. Then they apply there. They apply and they don't even reach. Now they go because of too much of weight, like no chance.
Some were lucky their shops were not touched by the fire, but others were not. And who's what millions of naira have been brought down by this inferno. Now, the cause of the fire is not really ascertained at the moment, as information is still sketchy. But then the major problem encountered by the firefighters, they told me that upcoming structures in the market, allocation of costs to traders was actually a major challenge, that they could not access the main spot where this inferno started. And it's further escalated to other shops. Well, we will be bringing you more updates. Serafina. NTA.
We look forward to more updates. Now to education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB has released the results of candidates who participated in the supplementary Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination conducted between Friday 21st of and Saturday 22nd of June 2024. The supplementary examination was conducted for 28,835 candidates who were unable to be biometrically verified during the May 2024 UTME. A statement by JAMB's Head of Public Affairs, Fabian Benjamin, says the other category of candidates were those suspected to have been involved in examination malpractices during the main UTME, but were given a second chance to write the examination. The statement also urges candidates to desist from soliciting score upgrade from fraudsters or engage in the mutilation of their result sheets while trying to generate fake result sheets with higher scores. To check their supplementary UTME results, candidates are to send UTME results to either 55019 or 66019 through the same phone number they had used to generate their profile codes at the start of registration. Away from education, to boost agricultural productivity, strengthen the economy by creating opportunities in the real sectors of agriculture, manufacturing and construction, as well as provide urgent economic relief for Nigerians. President Bola Tinubu has approved the immediate rollout of the National Construction and Household Support Program to cover all geopolitical zones of the country. Under the program, the Sokoto-Badagry Highway, the Trans-Saharan and the Lagos-Calabar coastal highways are being accorded priority attention. These part of resolutions of the National Economic Council meeting. Status correspondent Musbaut Danwahab reports.
After the protracted meeting, relevant governors and ministers reported on the operationalization of a food system coordinating unit targeting improved food production. Apart from the intervention under which 42,000 metric tons of grains were distributed to state governments and 20 trailers of rice per state, a Greek minister says evacuation of 1.5 million bags of fertilizer is now underway by state for onward delivery to farmers.
The rainy season is upon us now, and we have urged the state governors to assiduously evacuate the fertilizer so that it can be of benefit to our teeming farmers. Fertilizer is to be distributed free of charge.
The minister also reported on the mechanization program of the federal government targeting development of agro-service centers and provision of tractors, farm implements, among others. Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of Economy updated the Council on the excess crude accounts.
As of now, there's basically $500,000 in that account, $500,000 US. The stabilization account has 28.7 billion naira, and the Natural Resources Development Fund has 53.9 billion naira.
He also reported on the verified social register, which the governors have now agreed on for the continuation of a social investment program.
And in addition to that, we are looking at ways of essentially improving the mechanism by which payments are made so that they can be made quicker, and the verifications that are necessary can be speeded up.
Meanwhile, the ad hoc committees on flood disaster mitigation, crude oil theft, and the subcommittee on economy submitted their reports respectively.
And the National Economic Council took judicious note of all recommendations, and while implementing the immediate measures, has requested for us to come with a final report that will serve as a permanent solution to the incident of crude oil thefts in
the nomination.
The Council also approved the nominations of the board members for the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, with Borno State Governor representing the Northeast, Katsina State Governor representing Northwest, Kwara State Governor for North Central, Imo State Governor for Southeast, Ekiti Governor for Southwest, while Akwa Ibom State Governor will represent the South-South geopolitical zone on the board. From the State House, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
And the federal government and the African Union are working towards providing a sustainable single-digit loans for micro, small and medium enterprises to access affordable credits. Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Adegia, stated this at the opening of the 2024 International Dialogue organized by the federal government and African Union. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
27th of June is here again, and this is a gathering of call to action to address a continental issue using a continental solution.
And I know, I'm convinced that as a continent, we can do something about this. The answer to some of these hurdles is not outside this continent, it's here.
Micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria accounts for 96% of all businesses and has contributed to 46% of the gross domestic product.
And without them, 80% of the current Nigerian workforce will be without employment. These facts provide us with the evidence that if MSMEs prosper, Nigeria prospers. And we can say the same about Africa and indeed the entire world.
The African Union will sustain its global advocacy for MSMEs financing to fill the gaps with a focus on utilizing innovative digital infrastructures, including digital public infrastructure, for removing various traditional barriers in order to enhance financial inclusion.
So what we have done is to assemble a group of technocrats, people that can match standards anywhere in the world, to come and try or attempt to provide solutions to what these issues are.
with the recent launch of the 150 billion naira intervention fund for the MSME in partnership with the Bank of Industry at a single-digit loans is among other interventions of the federal government aimed at devising the appropriate continental solution for this continental problem. In Abuja, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And for the continuation of Panorama, we now join our studio in Makurdi, where Fatima is standing by. Over to you, Fatima.
Thanks, Elizabeth, and welcome to Makurdi. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Benue State Command, says it is on the trail of the notorious syndicate specialized in vandalizing electric transformers in Otukpo and its environs. Public Relations Officer of the command, Superintendent of Corps, Michael Ejeleku, disclosed this to correspondent Blessing Omeche Ebute in an exclusive interview.
Over the weekend, news broke out of a transformer vandal who was electrocuted in Otukpo while trying to vandalize a transformer. The suspect, identified as Inalegu Elias, aka Major, was found dangling on the electricity transformer situated by the CBT Center opposite Beko Fuel Station, Otukpo, early hours of Saturday. Confirming the development, Public Relations Officer, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Benue State Command, Superintendent of Corps, Michael Ejeliku, says operatives of the command got the information and acted promptly.
We have the information. He's not the only person who attended to vandalize that transformer. The state commandant, Commandant Yakubu Ibrahim, has given a marching order to our team stationed in Otukpo, especially the anti-vandal squad, to go after the rest syndicate members. And we will know with time we are going to get them arrested and they will face the full wrath of the law.
SC Ejeliku warned that the command will not tolerate the activities of vandals in the state and will continue to track down criminals.
Over time in Benue has spread our dragnet and the hunt for these vandals. Not just electric cables, we are dealing with the issues of rail vandalism, we are dealing with the issues of NNPC vandalism, and the command have made several arrests. And we will continue to do our job diligently in the protection of critical national assets.
Investigation is ongoing to arrest other members of the syndicate. In Makurdi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
On boundary issues, the boundary conflict between Bonta in Konshisha and Opute in Oju local government area of Benue State will soon be a thing of the past, with the inauguration of sub-boundary committees to ensure lines are clearly defined. Deputy Governor and Chairman of the committee, Sam Ode, who performed the ceremony, urged members to make professionalism their guiding principle.
Subcommittees include Joint Field Team, Dispute Management and Security Committees comprising of traditional rulers, council chairmen, and stakeholders from Konshisha-Gwe boundary communities. Deputy Governor and Chairman of the committee urged members of the committees to approach their responsibilities with dedication, impartiality, and a deep sense of duty towards the communities for a successful resolution of boundary disputes to ensure peace in the affected areas.
Anyone who tries to disrupt this exercise should be severely dealt with according to the laws of our land. Please take note of that. Let us work together to achieve a lasting solution that will benefit our people and future generations. I thank you all for your commitment and for your cooperation.
Responding on behalf of members of the three committees, Caretaker Chairman of Gwe Local Government, Comfort Agbo, thanks the state government for the opportunity to serve in various capacities and promised to perform their duties without fear and prejudice.
We will work together as a team to ensure that everything is done to restore peace in the various communities. We promise this day to deliver our duties in honesty.
The members are saddled with the responsibility of mapping field completion and demarcation of the boundary, facilitating dialogue and negotiations where disagreements arise, amongst others. In Makurdi, Simbiat Agbaji, NTA News.
Panorama continues after this short break. Please stay tuned.
Counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You're still watching Panorama, reaching you live from the Nigerian Television Authority Makurdi Network Center. Prevention is said to be the formidable force in the fight against drug and substance abuse. Stakeholders are of the opinion that it does not only save lives, but empowers individuals to make informed choices. Blessing Omeche Ebute in this report takes a look at the implications of drug abuse and efforts in curbing the menace.
Drug abuse is one of the global social problems threatening the collective human existence. According to statistics provided by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, 5.5% of the global population aged between 15 and 64 years are currently abusing one form of drug or another.
We need to know that it is important that we stay without substances, especially psychoactive substances. They affect our brain. And you know, the brain is the main engine of our being, of our development.
In Nigeria, the situation is not any different, as 15% of its population are drug abusers.
So the issue of drug is with us. You cannot deny that fact. And so we need to accept that it's a problem. And so when you have a problem, you need to tackle it. And the best way to do it is to prevent it.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, in its efforts to reduce the trend, has continued in its enlightenment campaigns, raids, seizures, and arrests. Benue State Commander NDLEA, Mrs. Esther Lami Musa, giving a rundown of the command's achievement in the last 1 year, said 266 suspects were arrested for drug-related offenses.
The command has filed a total number of 74 cases in the Federal High Court, Makurdi, a number of persons convicted, 53.
She adds that the command has also introduced a drug integrity test as a means of early detection of drug use and intervention to prevent possible addiction. International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, marked every 26th of June, is aimed at sensitizing the public on the dangers associated with the cultivation, manufacturing, trafficking and abuse of illicit drugs. The theme for this year is "The evidence is clear. Invest in prevention." In Makurdi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
To shed more light on the implications of drug abuse and trafficking in Benue State, I have with me in the studio the Deputy State Commander, NDLEA, Benue State Command, and the person of Maureen Nguho Ahua. You're welcome to Panorama.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so we had this week on Wednesday, to be precise, on the 26th of June, we had the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Drug abuse is a global burden, but it's something we keep hearing every now and then. So want to know, what does it mean in a general term? Drug abuse and substance use.
Okay. Thank you for the question. First of all, I think we should know what a drug is. Drug is any substance other than water and food, which when taken alters the function of the body. So that is drug. And when you just asked about drug abuse and substance abuse. When a drug is being abused, that is when it is not medically necessary.
Or prescribed.
Yes, that is. You take a drug on prescription. You're supposed to take a drug on prescription.
Yes.
When it is not prescribed, it is medically not necessary. And then when it is legally prohibited, that is, there are certain drugs that you are not supposed to just have, over-the-counter drugs and all that. So when you take those on your own, you have abused the drug.
Okay.
And when socially accepted drugs like alcohol and tobacco are used excessively, that is when you abuse drug. That is when a drug is said to be abused, and the substance too is said to be abused.
Okay. So talking about the use of alcohol and cigarettes, these are known as gateway substances. They actually, probe the user to go further into using more complicated kinds of drugs. Can you tell us some of these substances, drugs that people indulge in that can be termed as drug abuse?
Yes, like I mentioned, tobacco and alcohol. They say they're socially acceptable, but when you use them excessively, you can get hooked on them.
Okay.
And then outside of these two, we have the ones that are outrightly not supposed to be used.
So what are those ones that are not supposed to be used?
You have cannabis sativa. A lot of people call it Indian hemp, but the Indians said they should not use the name in
to describe such a substance.
Exactly. So we call it cannabis sativa. In other languages, street names are Igbo. Here in Benue, the Tea people call it Ikya, and there's so many street names to it. And then our youth have resorted to so many other things like sniffing soccerways, glue. They get lizard dung to sniff. They go to gutters and sniff these gutters.
Okay, so what about some of the over-the-counter medications that they can get and equally abused? This is something people out there you need to know. We need to point out those drugs that they can walk into a pharmacy and request for such medication.
Tramadol is top on our list. Tramadol is so abused. It is so abused. There are different mills of these drugs. So there are some that are that you can't even, that are illegal. You have the 100 mils. You cannot just, even the pharmacies are not supposed to sell them. You understand? This is taken for pains. So when you arrest people who are abusing tramadol, they'll tell you that they have certain pains and they want to take it. But no, you're not supposed to just walk into a pharmacy or chemist to buy these drugs. They are supposed to be prescribed by a qualified medical personnel for you to use it. That is why the first instance we said when it is not
prescribed.
Exactly.
Okay. So globally, over 296 million persons were said to have used drugs in 2021. That's like an increase of 23% in over the past decade. So going by your intelligence gathering and cases that come up in your command, what will you say is like the prevalence rate in Benue State, looking at where we are now?
Benue's case, just like it is globally, and it's not an isolated case. Just like it is in the country, it is not an isolated case. Benue's situation is also as bad as you hear in other places, because we're not, like I said, we're not in isolation at all. So it is also not a good case at all.
Okay, so drug abuse, substance use destroys the victim, obviously, because it is something that affects the brain, which controls the function of the human being. So how does this affect the society and other persons, you know, the victim and everybody around them?
Okay, another very good question. When someone abuses these substances, there's so many of them, and for lack of time, we may not go into all of that, but there's so many substances that people abuse. For the person, just like you said, it is body organs. It affects your liver, your kidney, your brain.
Okay.
It affects
so it
the
affects
entire body.
Productivity.
Yes.
All
so
right.
For the person, the youths are the ones that are mostly in it.
Okay.
So
all right.
they can drop out of school.
And less productivity, which affects the society generally.
Exactly.
Okay.
For the
Thank
families.
you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us on Panorama today. For time, we won't be able to talk more on the use of drugs and substance abuse and then how it affects the society. Okay. Thank you for joining us on Panorama.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.
So moving on with the news on Panorama. Building bridges and exploring new frontiers. The Chartered Institute of Forensic and Certified Fraud Investigators of Nigeria and the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Special Needs and Equal Opportunities visited the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA management, exploring opportunities for growth and development. Ngufan Shaji Ugwanyi reports.
The Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Investigators of Nigeria delegation, led by their pioneer president and chairman governing council, Dr. Gashin Baki, discussed potential partnerships with the management of the Nigerian Television Authority on forensic training and capacity building, aimed at enhancing the organization's forensic capabilities.
So we are a multidisciplinary and multi-sectorial professional body. We are specifically here, one, to introduce ourselves, and secondly, to also graciously request NTA to partner with us.
I want to formally, on behalf of the DG, intimate to you that NTA needs to collaborate with our institute on this lofty idea of fighting the canker of fraud and corruption in Nigeria, and also training of our staff to acquire requisite knowledge in these special areas. We will definitely enter into partnership with the Institute.
Meanwhile, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Special Needs and Equal Opportunities, Muhammad Abba Isa, while appreciating the management of the Nigerian Television Authority for inclusive programming on persons with disabilities, also introduced the Beyond Disability Project, which is aimed at harnessing talents of persons with disabilities in Nigeria.
The Beyond Disability Project is an initiative of the presidency aimed at empowering persons with disability through talent development, education support program, and inclusive access and advocacy on the right and privilege of persons with disability in Nigeria.
This is honestly a plus, for this country. And it goes to show the passion with which Mr. President wants to implement his renewed hope agenda to encompass everybody in every sector, of our society without leaving anyone out.
It is hoped that these partnerships will not only enhance forensic capabilities, but also ensure that NTA's programming is inclusive and accessible to all Nigerians. In Abuja, Gufan Shaj Ugwanyi, NTA News.
And that report wraps it up on Panorama today. Thanks for watching. I am Fatima Hassan.